We back again. Literally, like I'm giving people more than they wait. YouTube is free, so I was gonna say I'm giving them more than they paid for, but let's do this. I want to say first thank you, because it's rare that I get to say I'm bringing in an expert. And you're someone who, we've had conversations over the past couple of months. You've got a lot to you. Other stuff we can get into later.
Right.
But before I even go farther, tell them what makes you uniquely qualified to talk about the things that we're going to talk about tonight.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Yusef. I really appreciate it, because I don't usually get to talk about this stuff. So I'm a data scientist. I've been doing analysis and analytics pretty much all my adult career. I'm a lieutenant commander in the Navy, and I did analytics for sub-Saharan Africa and operations. I'm a Six Sigma black belt and lean expert, and I did operations for manufacturing and service businesses to increase efficiency and reduce waste. And for the last 5 years, I'm a data scientist. And so essentially I write algorithms to be able to predict things within a cone of accuracy. And that also includes writing what they call AI, which is a fancy term for neural networks, which mimics how the brain makes decisions. So when people talk about AI, that's what they're talking about. So I have a undergrad in computer science.
That doesn't sound like artificial. AI is not artificial intelligence.
It is, but underlying it is neural networks, which is modeling how the brain makes decisions. So I have an undergraduate in computer science. I have a master's in data science, and I'm finishing up my executive MBA from SMU. So pretty much anything related to analytics I can talk about, or if I don't know it, I can find it out.
Said if I don't know, I can find it. Before I even go any farther, I want everybody to know that they can connect or follow Brett professionally on LinkedIn. Oh, look at that cheerful smile he's got there.
That's when I had hair. I got to change that picture.
Yeah, I was like, there's something different about you. Yeah. So let's do this. I'm going to say a lot of things that are totally inaccurate from a layman's perspective. Correct me all the time, because I've got questions. Some people watching have questions. We talked about how you were nice enough to share with our private Patreon brothers and sisters some guidance, some tips on how to get into your field, and doing it through, what do they call it, certificate chasing?
Yes, you can get certificates. You can also do what's known as a nano degree or a micro degree in data science or analytics. And it's significantly cheaper than going to a 4-year degree or getting a master's degree. And so.
So let's start at the beginning. Let's say I'm someone who wanted to have that digital nomad lifestyle, being able to work from my laptop. I know, just like my career field, it doesn't come quickly, but it comes, and it often comes at a reduced cost. I was fortunate. I went to university before college prices were just jacked through the roof. Even then, when I was in college, they said it was too high. When someone says, I want to go into data science, I want a career that's lucrative, a career that's going to allow me to earn a living wage in the United States that I can then spend overseas, where do they start? Like, what if you were to walk that out?
If I was going to walk it out for a young person who's just starting out, I would say one of the very first things I would do is I would go to the online courses like Coursera, Udemy, Udacity, and I would look at their nano or micro degree programs in either analytics or data science. And that's where I would start, because that gives you a good base of knowledge to start from. And the cost of those degrees are not that expensive comparatively. It's like, I think it's maybe like $5,000–6,000 or something like that. I got to check. It's been a while since I looked. But compared to like if you go to UC Berkeley or Northwestern, that's.
Is this Udacity, or did you mean Udemy?
They're both is fine. It's the same, both. But you see, you have the School of Data Science, the School of Artificial Intelligence Programming. So these are very focused degrees that teach you exactly what you need to know. The coding, they're going to teach you how to code in this, and they're going to teach you the specific skill sets that you need in order to do that. Cloud computing is a good one. So this is This will really help somebody get a good base of knowledge. And there's a lot of companies that hire directly out of these programs.
So I'm just going to click on School of Artificial Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, learn more. They trick you.
Yes, they do.
I want to see okay, machine learning engineer, AI for healthcare, Intel, intro to machine learning with TensorFlow, right. AI product manager. Which one of these is, in your opinion, a beginner level?
So let's see, AI programming with Python is probably beginner. So this is like intro to data science and AI. So AI is pretty much, it's one of the top programming levels for data science, and it's pretty complex. It involves calculus and a lot of matrix math involved in developing neural networks to understand it. So I would say that's the top. I would say the very bottom when it comes to data is data science and analytics. You definitely need to start with learning Python, how to program in Python, and then you need to learn the basics of statistics and machine learning. Yeah, so the data analyst nano degree, that's where I would start, absolutely.
I'll give everybody a little heads up. If you look here, the price for this degree in Brazil is 280 real, which is something like 50 US dollars or less. A lot of times you'll find that if you use a VPN and look up the same courses or anything you buy online in different places, you'll find the prices are different because they price for that economy.
Right.
And so let's see what the description is. What you'll learn. Introduction to data analysis, Excel for data analysis, Python for data analysis, Tableau, statistics and probability, SQL, and R for, what is R?
So R is another programming language primarily used in academia. R is not really used in production, in business. Some people kind of use it, but it's more on the PhD level. And they're going to teach you it in this course, but no reputable data scientist in business uses R. It's just not what you use.
Oh, and they also give you they give you a few of the other things that complement.
Right. So there's tons of courses that are out there. And there's a lot of resources that are free that you can look up on YouTube. And I have like a whole list of some, but it's you would essentially build your own nano degree by watching YouTube videos and following different channels. But what this does is it packages it all for you. These courses are designed to be taught remotely and online, and it walks you through everything from beginning to end. So
if you've got a list on your desktop, you can share it with me and I can post it.
Yeah, so I have a list here. What I'll do is I'll send it to you so you can post it. But I'll share and I'll go through some of the highlights.
Okay, I'll open my email.
So I will share.
While we're doing that, everybody, be like BK from the Rockies, like, share, and subscribe. You know, we talk about a lot of things here. We talk about world travel, not just my life in Brazil, but places all over the world. We talk about money, which is probably my favorite subject, which is where I think this ties in. And we talk about social issues. Now, I'm really trying to expand more into talking about entry-level ideas on business. But for a lot of what I do, and this is something I'll share with people who may or may not know, I have a Patreon, which is where we share a lot of hardcore business and networking tips and ideas on different projects we're working on. We've built a decent community there of people. I won't go through the reading of all the different things, but I will say I'll put the link in the comment section for everybody to take a look at. And I hope to see some of you there as well. Boom. So I'll check my email.
No, I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, you're sharing your screen. Okay.
There's another screen here that's kind of grayed out.
Got it.
So this is just a list that I put together that I shared with a couple of Patreon members.
Can you make it a little bit bigger for us?
Yeah, sure. I can make it a little bit bigger.
Because I'm in here.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
So these are some YouTube channels and lists on videos on this one. This guy is pretty good. I'm going through a book that he wrote on writing neural networks from scratch. This is the basic learning how to program in Python. And I have all the links here, and there's a boot camp on Udemy that's there. And then what I have is like different channels about coding and different people that I follow. One of them's MIT that has good courses on data. It walks you through the theory and the math behind data science and analytics. And down here, now these are specific YouTube channels that talk about data science here that are pretty, I would say they do a lot of math and statistics, but if you have the ability to understand math, you'll be able to understand these things. And then I'm getting in, this is called cloud architecture.
Before we go too far past that, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the earlier program. We talked about games, which led to Ed Lattimore, who's a mid-level ranked chess player, and we talking about everything. And he related chess to math because his degree is in, I forgot what branch of math it's in. But he says when you learn math, you can understand everything else in the world. And it's just interesting that you talk about math is such a big part of that. But that's the big thing he kept pushing is that people think chess is he actually argued the point. There is no chance in chess. It's all math, but everything can be mapped out and understood through math. It went a little off the rails, but you might enjoy that one.
Yeah, so I haven't seen that one. I saw it come through. I haven't seen that one. But yeah, so this gives you and walks you through some of the math behind data science and analytics. But one of the big important parts of data science, that's the infrastructure, is the architecture. So I primarily work in the cloud. So Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they all have a cloud, which is basically resources of computers in the cloud, databases in the cloud, research, different resources to compute very large data sets in the cloud. And so these are courses and links that allow you to be able to develop and create those resources and make sure they talk to each other. And it's called a cloud architect. And a cloud architect is in high demand, and you can do that from anywhere in the world if you have an internet connection. So like making sure the computers talk to each other, making sure the databases are set up and ready to go, and everything will work together essentially in the cloud, and being able to sift through all the data efficiently and effectively. And so these are some like Azure resources, and there's some Amazon resources for Cloud Architect. And then here's some other courses that go into artificial intelligence. Now, this one I would really highlight for people, this person, Andrew NG Machine Learning. This one's free. If you go to Coursera.com, and this is a free resource. So if you want to understand from one of the best in the world who teaches at Stanford about machine learning, what it can do, the pros and cons, what you should do and what you shouldn't, this is the course to take. And it's free. Anybody can take it.
Andrew Ng.
Andrew NG. Yep. If you just screw Andrew NG and you Coursera, it will pop right up. Be one of the first 3 links.
Is LAAS a language, or is this just a word I don't understand?
Where are you looking at?
On the screen, looking at my face. Do you see under mandate wrote LAAS?
Ooh, machine learning, LAAS.
No. Look at us on the other screen. At us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong screen. My fault. That's infrastructure as a service. And so mandate's right. So a cloud is essentially on-demand infrastructure. And there's such a thing as infrastructure as code, where how you create the cloud infrastructure, it's all done in code, primarily JSON or Terraform. So.
And that last one, you can't stress enough. Take this one.
Take this one. If you want to understand machine learning, and if you think data science is for you, this is the course to take, and it's free.
And what level of education would I have already needed to make that course? Should I already have a university degree? Or if a man graduated high school, is that something you feel like he could grasp?
So if you graduated high school and you have a strong background in mathematics, then yeah, you'd be able to take this course. And so there may be some things that, cause your eyes to glaze over, but just because you have a university degree, it's not a requirement to take this course. There's plenty of people I know that are phenomenal data scientists that don't have an undergrad degree. So
what's interesting is with the MOOC courses, massive open online courses, you can take the class over again. You can go 12 weeks with it and then just do it again.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to stop sharing. I'll send this to you, Yusef, so you can post it.
One of the things I always tell people is that my cryptocurrency course that I took, let's see, it was through University of Nicosia, Introduction to Digital Currencies, Cryptocurrency. And I tell people all the time, I read the book first, and I had to go back and actually take the class to understand what the book gave me. Because the book, if you just go in cold without actually having someone sitting across the screen from you saying, calm down, this is what this means, you know that, this is what this means, here's how you connect them. It's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. So yeah, cryptocurrency is just something that I haven't studied, but yeah, it's one of those things that you can definitely utilize. But there's plenty of information out there and education, even on YouTube if you search hard enough. But I like going to the Udacity, Udemy, Coursera, edX courses because they concentrate it and they give you the octane. They give you what's important that you're going to need to know. And so it also prepares you for interviewing, because interviewing for data scientist jobs can be a real pain sometimes. Like if you're looking for a full-time position, because they can ask you all these weird questions that they think are important but really aren't. So
the people hiring aren't data scientists. It's somebody in human resources.
Well, yeah, that's the intro, but it's like the manager. So like I had one person ask me about how maximum likelihood with respect to logistic regression and to define it at a high level. And so essentially what you're doing is you're deriving a data science theory and probability from logistic regression and a concept of maximum likelihood. Now, if you haven't studied that and you don't understand it, because you have to go through multiple derivative derivations of specific probabilities in order to understand maximum likelihood. And you're just like, why do I need to do that when I'm going to code a neural network in the cloud that's going to take care of it? Why do you want me to derive it for you? So
wow.
Because data science is still relatively new, and people, unless you're going to start working at like Google, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, GE, I mean, PhD level where you're trying to come up with new algorithms that give you that little bit of an edge, you're not going to need to know that. You're going to need to know the basics of, okay, what's the business process I'm trying to use to model? Where are the holes in the data? What am I trying to predict? And what the business people are saying that they want to predict, is that really what they want? Or do they not know what they want? And so that's the real struggle when it comes to data science, because I can write algorithms till the cows come home, but it may not be exactly what they're looking for. So they have to
know the right question for you to even apply the answer.
Right. So since it's pretty sexy, in business, because you just give these, what they call smart people, this problem, and then they fix it automatically. It's like a black box. You just give it to them, and then they give you an answer, and it's 99% correct. And you're like, awesome, I didn't know we could do it. And then they're like, well, I don't know if they can solve another problem, just give them this one. But it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And so, but because you're dealing with a generational gap, because there's a lot of mathematics involved and probability and coding involved. And if you're not comfortable with technology, if you're doing business like in manufacturing and you're used to things that are very tactile and spreadsheets where you have to work the data. And then I come in and say, I can automate all that. Oh, and by the way, I can predict which customers are going to stay and which ones are going to leave. And based on the economy, I can predict your next 5 quarters forecast, 95% accuracy. And they're going to be like, no. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So it just depends on whether they believe you or not, honestly.
But isn't it well, they can't look at it. They can't look at your past things that you've done. You can't say, see this thing here with these people? I did that thing.
Yeah, I can tell them that. And so I can say, you know, I was able to run these forecasts, this amount of accuracy. I was able to predict things that couldn't traditionally be predicted, like a specific customer and a specific product, and match them together to make sure that we had like the right forecast for a specific customer on-time delivery. But it's a process. It's like, how is that going to be applied to my business? Because we're still making good margins and we're successful, and I don't see a real problem. But then the problem's going to come 2 to 3 years down the road if they don't make a change.
It's like when I was in the financial services business, when I was doing investments in mutual funds and whole life insurance. Well, if I'm saving this money now and I'm putting this money in the bank and I'm already putting away 20% of my income, why should 10% of that be invested with you? Well, you're not always going to be young enough to work as hard as you do now, because when you're 30 or in your 20s, you think you're going to be able to just work those 15-hour days till the cows come home. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Exactly. So there's one other thing I wanted to share with audience here today, and so this is from a company called Dice, and what I'm gonna zoom in on this here for you so you can see it. Let me zoom in here. Can you see that pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay, so they put together a list of the top 12 programming languages with the highest salaries for people. And the language that I use, Python, this one. So median average salary is about $100,000. Now, this is a little misleading because it's not just Python. You have to know Python and other things like SQL. You have to know how to access different databases and connect with APIs. Over the next 10 years, it's going to grow by 21%, and about 20% of the people are asking for it. When you compare that to Java, it's going to go down. C++ is going to go down. C is going to go down. When you look at these median salaries, now you can't just get a nano degree and start at 100 grand. You probably start at like 50 or 70. In a couple of years, work your way up. But all the older style programming languages are going away, and you see Go is going to expand by 50%. You're going to see Swift expand by 28%. So all the languages that are going to be in demand in the next couple of years are the ones that are geared to fintech or some sort of programming and prediction.
So watch this. When you said you're going to top out at around 100 something, but you're going to start out at a lower salary, which is totally reasonable, around 50. For the other people watching, I want to show them something. When we talk about 50,000 US dollars, let's say you've completed your first year and you've made 50,000. Now we're going to use that as a round number. It might be a little more, it might be a little less. But I'm going to give people, when I talk about that expat lifestyle, when I talk about the laptop lifestyle, when I talk about living as a digital nomad, that's 280,000 Brazilian real. Just to give you some context, just to give you context of how far that goes, you could live here comfortably on anywhere from 6 to 10,000 Brazilian real a month, which would mean if you brought in under $2,000 a month in US dollars, you would still lead a top 10% lifestyle in a place where the weather is awesome. And if this is a shameless plug for what I do, yes, it is, because I help people get to Brazil. But we don't really, a lot of people don't really catch that, because $50,000, listen, if you're in LA, New York, $50,000, you might as well be homeless.
Yeah.
$50K, you might as well be homeless, and you can't have a girlfriend and certainly no kids, because that's just going to bleed you dry. But when you, even after you still have to pay your American taxes, and I tell people, don't forget to pay your taxes, you're still living so comfortably. And for those who haven't added me on LinkedIn, I'll share my LinkedIn. What I was talking about is one of the businesses that I've really in the last 2 years focused on quite a bit is the expat relocation services, helping people legally get to Brazil, doing everything from CPF numbers and SUS cards and registering for healthcare and social security numbers and all that other good stuff. These are the things that I help people with, and anybody who's interested in finding out more about that can add me on LinkedIn. Boom. Add me on LinkedIn.
So one thing I want to tell your audience is that who's watching it is that I didn't magically just end up as a data scientist. I kind of meandered my way into it because I like to be able to use technology to solve problems and use data to be able to understand business processes and use it to predict things in the future. And I've always kind of liked that now that I look back at it. So I naturally gravitated to this type of industry and technology because I hate just doing things in a wasteful manner, like manually. I was like, there's got to be a way to automate this. And so it literally gets me angry. So that's why I'm just say, screw it. I'm going to figure a way to automate it. And then this is what drives you into using technology in some form or fashion.
Now, Mandate had a question. I'll tell you my thoughts after you give yours. Would you build a portfolio of your work prior to moving out of the country? I say this because I'm looking at competition with those from India and China.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to build a portfolio before you move out of the country. But also, so yes, but this is one thing, there's a big gap in what business wants to do and what they can do right now. Because in the next 2 to 3 years, I would say 2 to 5 to be conservative, all the modeling, well, most of the modeling for machine learning and some AI is going to be automated. You're just going to have to send the data to it and it's going to come back. The problem is that the data right now is not structured in a manner that you can actually put in to that type of service or build an AI to. So there's a big gap there. And that's what they call a data engineer, or engineering the data to put into a model. And so companies, they want to use the data to their advantage, but they don't know how, don't have the resources or the time to be able to set it up. So they usually try to find somebody to be able to do it. Now, data scientists and data engineers are in pretty high demand. So I think you could easily build a portfolio if that's all you do is engineer data to be able to put into models and work with data scientists. You could have a lucrative career just by doing that. I mean, that's how a buddy of mine and I, we're starting a business, and that's part of our business plan is helping businesses set up their data and then helping them create models in the cloud to be able to use their business and data effectively.
I'm glad you brought that up because it wasn't my place to talk about your new business. I didn't know where you were with that, but if you have any shameless plug for it, if you have a website for us to go to, or should they just find you on LinkedIn?
Just find me on LinkedIn. The website isn't up yet; it's still in development right now because we just started this a couple of weeks ago. So it's at the very, very beginning. And so what our business plan is and what our goal is to help businesses, small to medium-sized businesses, use their data to their advantage. Because if you go to McKesson, or not McKesson, but if you go to like Accenture, Deloitte, McKinsey, they're not going to help you for less than $1 million. That's basically what they get out of bed for a contract for. But most small to medium-sized businesses can't do that. So there's either go to Slalom or other contracting services to try to help them out. But what we do, we provide a comprehensive turnkey service. You hire us, and then at the end of 6 to 9 months, we give you a turnkey product that's custom built for your business.
I'll tell you, one thing that he said, should I build a portfolio? Completely outside of data science, one of the things I tell people who want to move on and live outside of America is don't be like a lot of people on YouTube are going to tell you, I just quit my job, told my boss to shove it. I got a one-way ticket to wherever the fuck, and I just started. They're not telling you the whole truth. Don't go anywhere in the world, especially where you are not a native citizen, without having already established your income source.
Right.
You know, that's why I tell people, be a digital nomad at home first.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait
Absolutely.
you jump off the airplane to find out what is a VPN, huh? You know?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my business, like the people I know who are serious about their business and they do that laptop thing, when they go to look for a house or an apartment to live in, the first question they ask is, let me test your Wi-Fi connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You say,
So like for me, it's going to be like, I need to have a pretty fast connection because either I'm going to be building AIs for automated trading, things like that. So I need to have a good connection, you know, to the data and things like that. So to me, all that stuff is kind of interesting, but data is essentially the new oil, and data is created from just people doing things and businesses doing things. So essentially a process creates data or an environment creates data. And in each process or environment, there's patterns. And data science really is about recognizing those patterns. And we just do it mathematically.
you know what? Speaking of speed, let's just, there's me, 125.6 down and 144, 1 up.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. You're not gonna like what I got because I actually have fiber coming into my place. So
you have a fiber wire coming in?
Yeah.
Go ahead, show us.
Okay, let me just do the speed test real fast because it's gonna be like 900.
Jeez. Now, functionally, for someone in your career field, will you feel that difference?
So I'm definitely gonna see the difference between fiber and non-fiber, but if you use the cloud resources have much better connection than I do, and so let me share my screen here. I'll share it. So it's kind of, you see that 418 up, 616 down, 816 down.
Jeez. Well, I thought I was flexing.
That's just because AT&T wants better. So Gigablast 900, yeah. So at night I get like around 900. So, but I mean,
yeah, I thought I was flexing hard there. But he said, "Look, I can sacrifice that for a different life."
Yeah, and like, but if you're working in the cloud's going to have just as fast resources as fiber, if not faster, and they're going to be able because they're going to be directly connected to the main fiber connection, the main trunk. So it's utilizing your resources to your advantage. And so I'm always in the proponent, use other people's stuff. You know, I'm not Andrew NG. I'm not a PhD. I don't necessarily want to write new algorithms. I want to use other people's stuff because if Google writes it and use it, by chance is pretty good. So I'll probably use it.
Well, what did they say? Genius doesn't borrow, it steals.
Yeah. So
everything we just said is easier said than done.
Right.
When someone says, you know what, I'm gonna follow Brett's guidelines. I'm gonna take these courses. What is it if someone starts on January 1st, it's a new year, every day when I come home from work, I'm gonna put in that 3 or 4 hours of studying. Mm-hmm. From what point there, how many months do you think it takes before they can look up and say, I'm going to approach my first client to see if I can get a client because I feel like I have all these classes down?
I would say it'd probably take a good 9 months to a year.
So everybody heard it. We're not giving you some quick fix.
This is not a quick fix.
Neither one of us landed in the positions we are because we stepped into it last year. If you don't have the forethought, if you hadn't thought about it before, people always say, follow your dreams and emotion. Listen, I look at it this way. If you're someplace you don't like right now, you don't like what you're doing, you might not like what he's doing, but if you can learn it, it's much easier to be unhappy about going to work 8 hours a day in Brazil, where when you get done from work, you can call Wateef, we can go get some coffee, hit the gym, lift weights, and then go speak some broke-ass Portuguese to some girls walking down the street. That's a better life than having a shitty job in where I'm from, Niagara Falls, New York, where it's like winter 9 months out of the year.
Right. I would absolutely agree. And what I would also tell people is that, like, if you want to do something, go find somebody on LinkedIn or just go talk to them and say, hey, I'm interested in doing what you do. Can I take you out to lunch or do a video call and just ask you some questions? One, most people like to do that because it's an ego boost and they want to talk about what they do. But also a lot of people, like in me, want to help others get into my field because it is a pretty lucrative field. I think it's pretty interesting in order to do it forward looking in the future. And it's hard. It's not easy. And I didn't get to where I am all by myself. Other people helped me. And so I want to be able to help other people if you're interested and willing to put in the work.
I think you should put that on a t-shirt and a hat. If you're willing to put in the work.
Because it's not easy.
You know, a lot of late nights and talk about, I mean, I could talk about it from my point of view, but I don't want to talk about the things that you had to sacrifice while you were studying these things.
Well, I'm a big dancer. Dancing's been part of my life, partner dancing. And so, like, if COVID wasn't going on, I would be going to 2 to 3 classes a week plus sets every weekend. Like in my MBA program, what I'm doing. So I'm studying every night. And on top of that, I'm taking architecture courses to make sure I have the right skills to build a business. And I'm looking at different AI engineering courses to take. So from like now until like May, I'm not going to get out that much. I'm going to spend 2 to 3 hours just about every night. I'll probably get out like once or twice a week. But most of the time is sitting here in front of my computer, going to work out, coming back, and just chugging through courses and talking to people. It's a little boring. It's not that exciting, but on the other end, you know, it's very lucrative, but you have to be able to put in the work.
So you like to dance?
I've been dancing a lot. So I do a dance called Chicago style stepping, or they call it Chicago stepping. It started on the south side of Chicago. So I've been doing that for about 5-6 years now. But I started out doing classic ballroom, East West Coast swing. And so dancing's always been a big part of my life. That and motorcycles.
Well, what I was going to say, you know, is that when you decide to expand your dancing repertoire, can I introduce you to, I'd love to be able to take you, dun, dun, dun. I'd love to be able to take you to some ensayos.
Yeah, I would love to go. I would love to go and check it out. I haven't done Latin dancing. That's one big hole in my dancing is Latin, and especially samba. So I would love to go.
Yeah, it's this is not going to be this year. This is from last year, folks. We're not going to have it this year because, well, the C word. But when you go out, and I'm not a dancer, but I love the drums and the dancing and the music. This is a very different, experience. And yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to the day we can go out and do that.
Absolutely. So
thank you for your time.
Not a problem, Yusef. So like anybody who wants to connect with me can connect with me on LinkedIn, and they can send me an email just to my regular Gmail, and which is BREAllen, so BREALLEN at gmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to either set up a video call or just talk with you to see what you're interested in and what you want to do.
You know, Tyler Jones just checked in late. Public apology. He said, I just checked. I'm sorry, my email was drafted. I appreciate your thought. Thank you. And it was drafted. And he asked a question that we answered in the beginning. So guess what, Tyler? You're going to have to go all the way back to the beginning on your own, study the tape. what's the easiest and simplest way to start. That's literally what we just spent 45 minutes talking about. But none of it is easy, but it's all worth it. So I'm going to click end broadcast. Brent, stick behind the stage with me for a minute. Thank you, everybody. Listen, make sure you wash your hands, wear your mask. I hope everybody's having a great day. Be sure to subscribe and share this page on your Facebook or your Twitter, because this is how our community grows. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.